Hello, this is Dr. Garrett Castleberry, Professor of Media Production and Communication at Mid-America Christian University, and the provider of our video discussion prompts in this course, COMM4103, Special Topics in Media Studies. Our focus, Mythic Media in America. Okay, well, we're going to cross the threshold into a new practice of information absorption and reporting this week. And so we're going to convert our video discussion as an exciting tie-in that's also going to be a communal learning experience. All right, so everyone's going to have a unique role this week that is going to help not only you organize and arrange information in a clean and clear fashion, but it's going to promote your teaching to us an area of knowledge. And fortunately, we have a centralized source that we're going to draw upon, and it is in the form of none other than one of our primary texts, that is to say, reading textbooks in the class, Jewett and Lawrence's The Myth of the American Superhero. John Shelton Lawrence, Robert Jewett, co-authors. If you haven't been getting deep into this book yet, this is going to be a chance to break into it and explore an undesignated chapter that we don't have the opportunity to pull in for everyone in the accelerated course cycle. So because the class moves at such a pace, and we are also working through other materials, your graphic novel, Chris Gaviler's superhero comics, this means that we can only assign, or maybe only ethically assign, a few key chapters from the Myth of the American Superhero. But we find that as you get into the middle sections of this book, the meat of it, there are some very unique one-off chapters. And so what we're going to do, a little bit lottery style, a little bit, if we had more time, we could do a draft, we could do a popcorn, and you all submit your submissions in, say, a discussion forum or some type of Google survey. But rather, we're going to assign everyone a distinct chapter, meaning you'll be the only one assigned that additional chapter, and it won't be from a chapter that's already included in Canvas, but it's only one more chapter reading. And then each of you are going to put together a brief video report and talk to us about a few elements from that reading. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to outline the key elements, right? I'm going to slow down to specify what are we looking for in the video response. That's a video discussion one response for this week in question, right? Where this is our week 4 video response. All right, and 3 key identifying areas that I want us to each be commenting on. First, provide a clear chapter summary. All right, clear chapter summary would mean don't maybe bounce around. Don't give us a type of scattered attempt at recalling what you read. Be clear and linear in your summarization of the assigned chapter of the week. And so that would mean reading it in full in advance before you post, organizing your thoughts if necessary, right? If mentally keeping track of things you encounter is a tougher ordeal, or you find that it's difficult to regurgitate in that way, well, then perhaps create a method as you go where you're taking notes or maybe outlining some core takeaways. But we want a clear chapter summary in terms of what were you assigned, or which did you opt into, what was it about, and basically walk us through the elements of your chapter. When we get to the middle of the book, there's some of those later units. These chapters each unit would look at a specific cultural artifact, or perhaps a few case studies, kind of put them in conversation with a general theme. All right, so your task, what is the focus of your chapter? And that is the second part of the prompt. So prompt 1, provide us a clear chapter summary. Prompt 2, identify key themes. This might mean paraphrasing as opposed to simply regurgitating or reading large chunks of information. You know, a quotation or two here or there from a reading is a really rich and healthy thing. I think we've lost the art societally about finding really rich resources and sharing those with others. However, we don't want to overshare and we don't want to over attribute others' words as our ideas. So that's where paraphrasing can be a helpful and valuable tool. So part 1 to the prompt, clear chapter summary. Part 2 of the prompt, identify the key themes, right? Be able to lay those out or provide those. Key themes could be what maybe each section was about, or points of analysis if the authors take more of an analytic approach. But what are the key themes? Like, what are the key ideas that they are getting at in the book? You don't have to be overly tedious in the summarization, but this should probably be among our longest video discussion responses of the course, probably including week 5 also. But this should be a thorough examination, because I do believe we're getting some good credit out of it. We're getting healthy credit points for this assignment, but it's asking a little bit more from you up front before you sit down to record. All right, clear chapter summary, identify key themes, number 2. Number 3, a way to make connections, right? Look for ways to make connections or tie-ins to previous readings or even discussions we've had in the course, perhaps previous notes you've taken in some way, but look to make connections through tie-ins to previous readings or even previous discussions, or maybe even some of the idea strands that you've been coming up here or thinking about. Things, sometimes the creative or the analytic process feeds us certain information along the way, right? As learning in action. And so those are the 3 prompts for video discussion. 4 in the course. You're going to double check your assigned reading for the week. There may be some space for pitching an alternative or 2, but otherwise stick to an assignment. If you have access problems, reach out to your instructor. And so taking that single chapter, you want to go off, read it, be able to give it the thorough read, and then approach it from 3 ways. First, provide clear chapter summary without bouncing around. Second, identify key themes, and we'll work on the art of paraphrasing, although a quotation or 2 is certainly fine here or there. And then third, work to make some connections to either previous readings or previous discussions, and let's have a rich co-learning experience where each of you all is responsible about reporting a portion of this book to one another. It's going to be a way for us to fit in more of the book than we have time for in the course, so that's an exciting thing to look forward to. So think about it as an opportunity to learn from and teach one another we're simply using one of the items already built into the course, Myth American Superhero, and perhaps through that we're gonna gain even more momentum in our learning about this content and our understanding of the functions of Mythic media in America.